Good afternoon, Praetorians. It is been a little bit fickle with the weather outside, so I figured rather than have it start raining in the middle of our recording, I just change it up a little bit and come at you live from inside. So, a lot of fun things have been going on. We've got, as you can see, our campaign has updated with a bunch of original concept artwork by the very talented Wilbert Sweet, one of our team members. And just to give you an idea for some of the rewards that players will be getting, the t-shirts and the trading cards and things like that will be featuring quite a bit of Wilbert's artwork. We also wanted to give a preview to the probably the early, oh, so excuse me, the Tier 1 reward for everyone who gets in before Tier 1 is completed. We're probably going to include a signed concept art book that showcases a lot of the different ideas and designs that go into a product such as this. There's an immense amount of work in designing a universe and creating the theme and the appearance and the way, the art style. And I think we've got a really good presentation and how it looks, and I'm really excited about that. So anyway, just wanted to quickly touch base. Got a couple questions relating to the specifics of the $100,000 marker. We've talked quite a bit about our long-term goals as a company, where we see ourselves 3, 5, 10 years out from now, what kind of product we're going to be developing, how we're going to be, what direction we're going to take as our development principles. And that's been an important part just in trying to help you guys understand who we are and where we're going in the long run. But I wanted to spend some time talking specifically about our very first entry in the series. And if you look at most mobile games, PC games, anything that has to do with RTS, regardless of the platform, the RTS is typically a top-down isometric view. And you do not have the capacity to take over control of any of the individual ships. You can't dogfight, and so on. So it's kind of has a certain perspective on it. And our vision for this first product in the project is to basically take what you might consider to be kind of a standard formula for an RTS and add some of these additional features where a player will be capable of actually taking control of mechanized standing tanks that are like kind of in like your idea of your Robotech kind of space oriented mechs, various ships from the large to the individual tiny small fighters and whatnot. And you'll still be capable of actually going. If you notice, even in the first video that we released with our promotional video, or main campaign video, we have actual gameplay being shown, and that is essentially what our target appearance is for the mobile PC hybrid first product. Cities will operate kind of in a capacity of where when you select a location on the planet and you say develop a city, it'll actually create from a central point, and as you add and develop the city, it'll kind of grow outward, ever expanding and getting larger and filling it up. Now it's not going to be like the MMORPG where we'll actually let players go in and set individual buildings. It's a much more simple idea of it just expanding and getting larger. In this it's so we can make sure that it's something that's easy to deliver, that won't overtax the various environments, and can be accomplished within the 32-bit Unity engine. So that's kind of like on that side of things. Crafting, as in the video for our campaign, it actually shows in a real-time preview of exactly what the crafting will be like in the first entry before we get to the more advanced voxel-oriented content. It'll be basically, we'll have a lot of different preset objects that players will be able to pick from and attach stats to, because basically, like I said, we have an idea of combining form and function and how everything works. So it basically allows you to attach your own stats to individual art assets rather than saying, oh, well, if you want to use, this particular kind of technology, it always looks this way, which we think is kind of boring and limiting overall in player choice. So what we're doing is we're creating categories of different art assets, and then the stats that'll actually be attached to those different assets, or could be attached to those different assets, and people will pick, you know, which stats they want to be attached to which things, and then they'll be able to attach, you know, for example, a hull or chassis will then have different add-ons that can be added to it, like, you know, wings, or, you know, tail, nose, embellishments, technology, and just all kinds of stuff. So, you know, that's just, it was a real early prototype, but it's an example, a real working example of how that system will work in the game. You know, we probably will not be able to include foot combat, or combat on foot, in the very first entry, just because of the scale of things. We're going to try and keep it a little bit more toned down, because we're trying to make sure that everything that we promise for the 100,000 marker is something that is completely accomplishable. It's not like, you know, a big idea, next generation, oh my god, kind of thing. You know, in the long run, we would have these big goals and things that we really want to do, and those are really fun. But you know, those are going to take several years to develop overall. And you know, this initial, you know, push for the 100,000 is just to say, okay, you know, this is what we want to do. This is the kind of game we want to make. This is the direction we're going. This is the company. This is who we are. This is what we're doing, and make a game that is really, 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 you know, interesting and fun. You know, adding that extra element of flight simulation type controls, being able to actually, you know, dogfight in a real-time strategy environment, where you'll be able to send commands to your wingmen and have them fly, you know, with you or attack your target and things like that, which will add in a completely new dynamic to that specific style of gameplay. And you know, we're really excited about that, and think that that's going to be, you know, a really fun first entry in the series. And you know, we will, after that product is released, you know, from there we will, you know, gauge how, you know, how much money we make off of that project, and where we plan to go from there, and how quickly we can go to the next stage in development and start working on the next game in the series. Because, you know, this whole campaign is oriented around the concept that, you know, we're not just saying, hey, you know, we want to make this MMORPS. You know, yeah, in the long run, this is something we really want to do. This is, you know, like our dream is to make this kind of game. But it's to also, you know, to get the company launched and to be able to deliver a really high quality mobile, you know, PC and mobile oriented game that, you know, will kick the series off and allow people to start living in the world and exploring. You know, there'll be like basic species creation and things like that, but it'll be, you know, much toned down and much simpler than the big RPS. And you know, and then we can expand, you know, because of the way we're designing it. It'll be progressive, so it'll be, you know, the early stage of the MMORPS, and we'll just keep adding and adding and adding and developing down this path toward that bigger goal. So I think that's, you know, it's something that's really exciting and it's fun, and you know, it's something I'm not seeing anybody else in any projects anywhere talking about doing, is adding this type of control scheme into that environment. You know, real-time strategy games typically, you know, like I said, they're very much point and click. You know, you select your unit, you tell, you know, attack this, and then they kind of like, you know, wiggle around the screen, and you know, sometimes they have somewhat realistic looking combat, but for the most part they don't. And it's just, you know, like I said, it's a philosophical difference in how we're approaching the design of the game. So, you know, to me, that you know, even on our very first entry, I'm really excited about it, and think that, you know, players are going to get something that's unique, that is different than what they would get from another product in a similar arena. And it really should start to showcase, you know, the direction we as a company, as Invisionary, are planning on going in the long run. So, but anyway, I'm going to keep this video kind of short today. I got a lot of things I need to take care of, but I did want to jump in and at least say hey, and give you a little bit of update on stuff. You know, check out Will's artwork on the campaign. It's got a lot of his concept artwork we've been able to put up there and get it up for you guys to see. And I think it's, you know, he's got some amazing designs that are, you know, going to be powering all of the various systems. When we say, okay, well, we need to create a particular art asset, you know, whether it's a wing or it's a gun or it's a chassis, you know, the way we're approaching the design is like, you start out with the end result. Okay, here's what the final possibility should be. And then say, okay, well, within that possibility, let's now break it down into all its individual segments and say, okay, well, these are wings, and these are guns, and these are different pieces and parts, engines, and so on. And then the modelers take those elements and break them up and model the individual pieces so that the player can then reassemble the pieces into whatever they want. They can mix, you know, concept art A piece with concept art B piece with concept art C piece, all these different, you know, completely unrelated styles and elements, and put it together in a way that they see as the way they want it to be, versus just what we see and what we say it should be. But you know, I think from a conceptual standpoint, you know, the ideas that will be the basis of all these individual pieces is pretty phenomenal. And but anyway, if you got any questions, post a comment, and I'll get back to you and answer it as best as I can. And I hope you have a great day. Until next time, this is Alaric with Invisionary, signing off.